our next story in Tales from the Omniverse. We will be here for the next, counting tonight, the next 5 or 4, depending on how you look at it, Monday nights playing through this story. Boy, I don't have anything to tell you for this one. I'm actually going to just pass it over to Pascal and let him introduce the game, and we'll take a moment to introduce ourselves. So, Pascal, tell us about what we're playing.
Awesome. Hey, welcome everyone. So I'll be your GM, Pascal. I go by he, him. And welcome to our Session 0 of Fate of Cthulhu, the Ascellan Conspiracy. So this is a spin on the Fate of Cthulhu rules. Instead of fighting great old ones and preventing their arrival, we're going to try to prevent an alien invasion. The only problem is that they got here in 1932, and the invasion manifests itself in 2027. So our heroes are gonna have some tough decisions to make about how they're gonna stop them. Before I go further, though, why don't we just introduce the table? Let's start with Abdul.
Hi, I'm Abdul. He, him. I am. I think some of your listeners might know me as in my role in the RPG podcast, TTRPG podcast about lore. So I'm very excited to be here. The setting is very, very cool.
Yeah.
All right, Rev.
I'm Rev, he, him, and if you're on this channel, you know who I am. Next.
Jesse.
Hi, I am Jessie Sky. Pronouns are she, her, and I am a longtime member of the Crit Crew.
Whoop. And I'm Tass, also he, him. I am also a part of the thing that Rev does that you would be aware of. Welcome.
All right.
Tass, who do you play?
I play Rev.
He plays Einen Kerning now.
I do. Oh my god,
the new show is so sick, by the way.
Oh,
it's so good.
I've been catching up on Mallbrats too. Now that I've been caught up with the main show for a while, but now I'm like, oh, I got to crash through Mallbrats now that I have time. It's so good.
Thank you.
Oh, it's a blast.
Excellent.
And Pascal, it's so lovely to have you GMing for us. We're so excited.
Hey, I'm excited. It's been a while, so let's dive into it.
Yeah, let me ask you this first before you jump into it. Who are you to be running this particular story? Who are you related to this?
Who do you think you are?
I know, the nerve. So I wrote this scenario, and the cool story is when the pandemic hit, I was running Fate online playtesting these scenarios that I wrote, and people were asking how to play Fate online. So I wrote some guides, got a lot of good response, worked with Evilat on their tabletop setup on Roll20, and then decided to publish the scenarios with under license of Evilat. And it got me here after running these at various conventions at Gen Con, Origins, Breakout Con. And now I'm on my third game that I just released called Ringmaster. So I absolutely love Evilat and their systems, and I'm very passionate about Fate. Excellent. All right. So, hey, as I said, in the Ascellan Conspiracy, your PCs are going to be faced with an alien invasion that's spanning an entire century. So this is different than the other scenarios in that if we were running the entire scenario, your agents would be expected to jump in time 4 times. And each time you use alien technology, you're incurring corruption, and you're slowly turning into an Ascellan yourself. And once you're fully corrupted, well, you become a minion of the enemy. You become part of the hive, and that's a bit problematic for your fellow player characters. So we're going to hope you don't get there. But it's a fun twist between a combination between aliens and Terminator is the way Evilat pitches it. So it is horror. You got to lean into it, but it's a bit of pulp horror. You may not be able to completely stop the invasion, but at least you're going to give humanity a fighting chance. That's what you're aiming for. So you embrace the failures. You in fate, you fail forward or you succeed at a great cost, and really the odds are stacked against you. So I'm going to lean hard against your player character. I'm still rooting for you, but I want you to have some tough choices to make. And really, you know that you're incurring corruptions. Your play characters might not, but eventually you start noticing that you're changing. There's voices in your head trying to get you to do things that you probably shouldn't do if you're trying to save humanity. And it's this balance of, do I lean on my supernatural ability and risk further corruption? Or do I try to be the fight as the underdog against these aliens that are faster than us, smarter than us in taking over the planet? Before we jump into the scenario, I want to we did some safety tools and content warning offline before session 0. So while it's order, we try to keep it PG-13. And I'm going to go over our lines and veils. So things that we've identified that are hard lines is any slurs about homophobia, any transphobia, racism, sexism, harm to children, harm to pets or slash domestic animals, sexual assault, sexual violence, intimate partner violence, any kink or BDSM, suicide, and finally, for drug abuse, it could pop up, but ask that we check in first to make sure that it's okay. And I want to emphasize that's the starting point. We're going to use the X Guard, and we're going to use Boyager's script tools. So that script change tools that if there's something that's not on, or just if things are getting into territory you're a bit hesitant about, we can pause, we can rewind to change where the story is going. You'll still face consequence failures, but we'll just take the story in a different direction. And we can just do a play-by-play. So it says, I'm okay for now, but we're getting into dangerous territory here. So let's play this slowly. We can also do a replay. And a replay is like, sometimes things get busy and you said, okay, how did we get there? I snapped out for a moment. Can we just rewind a little bit, but just tell me what exactly is going on, because it's moving too fast. And the other thing is kind of a fade to black, a fast forward. It says, I'm cool with this happening, but I don't want the gory details. Does that make sense for everyone?
Absolutely.
All right. Perfect. And for the audience, please be aware that this game, as I said, is a light horror game. So there's mind control, there's some body horror, abductions, threats to loved ones, and other tropes that you can imagine from all the alien invasion media that you may have read in books or seen in movies and TV shows. All right. The other piece is that I want to note, so we're traveling back in time. But in this alternate reality, as you go further back in time, I may lean into the fact that you don't fit in, right? Your strangeness and the way you dress, the way you talk, might cause complication for your PCs. But we're not going to lean into bigotry, right? Even if you go all the way back to 1932, no one gonna balk because you're a woman driving a car. No one is gonna balk because of your gender identity, your sexual orientation, or your ethnic background. Those things do not come into play. What will come into play is when you talk about little devices. If you talk into in on the side of your head and things like that, and I said, "What the hell are you talking about?" So these are the things we're going to lean into. Are you using strange expressions from the future that make no sense in 1932 or in 1939, for example? Okay. Then in mechanics piece, a couple of things. We're very fortunate. The Crit Show on their main podcast right now is running a Fate game. If you haven't checked it out, check out Jake as he is running a game in the setting of the Clockwinders. And so they cover all the Fate mechanics in there. So some of the key concepts: fate dice, fate points, aspects, skills, stunts, stress and consequences are all terms I'm going to be using. Sometimes I might remind the players of things available to them, so such as conceding and being taken out. But if you're curious, feel free to check out the Fate condensed rules. They're available on Pay What You Want on the Evil At website, and they're also available for free on the Fate SRD website. Now, a couple of things for Fate of Cthulhu. There's some additional rules in there that you won't find on the Fate SRD. So there are 4 missions on the scenario. We're going to do one over the next 4 sessions. And basically, each mission that you have has 4 catalysts that you're seeking to modify as you travel back in time. There's a person, there's a location, there's an object, and there's a foe. But the Resistance has sort of figured out what they think contributed to the aliens' victory, but they're not quite sure. So sometimes once you get back to the past, you realize the mission brief might not have been fully accurate. So sometimes you'll face some little surprises as the further back you go. And the other part that I've mentioned is the corruption. You really got to embrace that piece. It's bits and parcel to your characters. The Ascellans have not come via spaceships. They have projected their consciousness and their DNA across space and time. And so as they're invading hosts, the host body is mutating and their mind is slowly being taken over by an alien as the consciousness is being downloaded. And so that corruption is always reflected as you use alien tech, as you suffer attack from Ascellans and their clones, you will start transforming. So you have corrupted aspects that you will gain and corrupted stunts. And corrupted stunts are twice as powerful as normal stunts. So they're super cool abilities, but they come at a cost because the more you use them, the more corrupted you get. And that brings us to time travel. So you're going to be traveling back in time. The maximum you can jump is 30 years. And in your case, the Resistance is pushing its envelope and it's saying, hey, you can probably do multiple jumps of 30 years at a time. The problem is that prior tests were not very successful. Nobody's come back, or the few that have come back were completely twisted. And because you're traveling back in time and you're trying to change time, the big mechanic we're going to be using, which we will see on the box, is you mark an Ascellan box on the timeline when you accept a compel on the corrupted aspect, when you invoke a corrupted aspect, if you succeed at the cost and it's actually helping the Ascellans, if you mark corruption for any reason, or if one of the minions of the Ascellans accomplishes a goal. So the odds are stacked against you. There's a lot of ways that you can actually worsen the timeline. But at the same time, you get to modify the timeline positively and check a resistance box. If you invoke a timeline aspect, I'll cover those during our session 1, and you succeed in a roll by invoking it. If you foil an Ascellan or one of their minions, so as you foil their plan, destroy them, and things like that, you will get to tick a box. If at the end of the mission, you've altered the timeline significantly, or finally, if one of your PCs makes a heroic stand, and a heroic stand is when you do that last stand of sacrificing yourself for your fellow PCs, and you get to check a box off, and you get to narrate how you take down the opposition in glorious explosions or other ways that you might narrate it. Okay, and so for the table, as we hit rules, feel free to ask me if you want me to explain something. And then we're going to jump into the characters, and maybe after that we can talk a little bit more of the mechanics as we create the characters. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We're good? All right. So now I've got questions for you. As I've mentioned, humanity fell in 2027 to the Ascellans that came from Sagittarius. And they revealed themselves, and humanity fell with a whisper. The president of the United Nations was making a big address, and on TV proclaimed that he was now swearing fealty to the Ascellan Confederation and that all humanity would serve them. People kind of scoffed until the leaders of all the world's nations started proclaiming the same thing. The military started turning into the population, and then giant globes of light started appearing at various historic sites across the world. Arcs of fires and electricity started arcing around the planet, and millions of Ascellan consciousness got downloaded at the same time into human bodies. So nobody could trust their neighbors anymore. and the rest of humanity basically got subjugated and told, you will terraform this planet as a suitable home for the Ascellan. So you're humanity's last hope, because they cannot be defeated in 2027. So someone needs to go back and figure out a way to stop them. And this is where the resistance has pieced 4 places where the tide changed. In 1999, where the Ascellan introduced cloning capabilities in a secret clone lab in Scotland. In 1969, during the Apollo 11 moon landing, where they actually retrieved a crash probe on the moon and brought it back with Ascellan technology that they needed to further their goals. The 1939 New York World Fair, where they started brainwashing the minds of world leaders, the rich and the famous, and uploading their consciousness into them to spread to the 4 corners of the world. And finally, 1932, the actual first contact, where at Bell Labs, they used a radio telescope pointed towards Sagittarius, and they got more than they bargained for. So my first question to you is, how far back in time are you interested to go? And this is really much more at this point a setting question. What do you want to play in? But the further back you go, each time you jump, and then we're going to talk about how you got there, the more corrupted you've become. So if you go to 1932, we're going to talk about basically based on which era your specific PC comes from, how many aspects you start corrupted with, and how many cool corrupted stunts you start with. So over to you.
Yeah, does anyone have a strong opinion? I'm intrigued by the middle two, by 1969 and 1939, but I could go to any of them.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
I was gonna say, but a lot of my character's backstory that I wrote doesn't make sense if he's not from '99.
Oh, sure.
But I will pitch you. You can be from 99 and go further back in the past.
I can, yes. So I
Yeah.
can be from any time period. So actually, I retract that. I can be from any time period.
Nice. Yeah, the middle two for me as well seem the most intriguing.
Yeah.
All right. We got 69 and 39. Jesse, what's on your mind?
I feel like part of me is like, I feel like 69 would be more fun just because of all of the Austin Powers movies I've watched. I thank you. But New York World's Fair, I feel like that. Like, I want to go to a fair that has potential. So I don't know. I like both.
Are we gonna roll for this, or Abdul? Abdul. So we got 3 people that are going 39, 69.
Nice.
Do you want to go to the World's Fair, or do you want to deal with the moon?
Me?
Yeah.
I like a moon. I'll go deal with the moon.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So are we good with 1969?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Moon's
All
haunted.
right. There we go. So my second question for you then is, are you the first team sent from the future to deal with these events? And again, you may have picked up some of your team along the way, right? So you're not necessarily all from 2027. Some of you could be from 2027, some from 1999, because you have to stop by there. And some of you could be from 1969 and being recruited as agents from the present. If you're from any future, you start with corrupted aspects. If you're from the present time that the adventure takes place, you don't. You start initially uncorrupted, but that might very well change as we proceed. Okay, so that's the first option. The first team sent to deal with the events. Are you attempt 426? Whether you know it or not, the humanity has tried and tried again, and the Ascellans have always been one step ahead of them, and things have gone wonky. Or are you all from 1999 or 1969, and you've been handed over the mission log from a dying traveler whose team failed, and they said, you're humanity's last hope. Here's my device, and you need to go and stop the aliens.
I really like the thought of being from 2027. Yeah. I don't have a super specific idea of who this is yet. But I do like the idea of starting at starting at the bottom. Now we're here.
All right. All right. Jesse?
Yeah, I have similar feelings. I like the idea of being a future person. I kind of like the idea of being guinea pigs in a sense, but I feel like that's just because I am cruel.
Right. Abdul. So you said you've got a strong concept about a 1999 character.
Yeah, I think I based my character a lot on the Watch Mojo clips I've seen of Die Hard. So
Nice.
Incredible.
Excellent.
but I think it's like the kind of thing where, is this a group decision that we're making where we're all from this time period?
You can be from different time periods, and what I'm hearing right now is that if we have 2 people from 2027, we're gonna have to figure out whether they're the first team sent to deal with the events, which sounds like that's what Jesse is learning toward, or whether like there's been multiple attempts before. And if you're from 1999, we're gonna talk as we create a character how they picked you up along the way to get to 1969.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, so the decision we're trying to make is, are we the first, whoever's from the future, are we the first team to come back, or have multiple teams come back before us?
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's going to twist how I shape the story based on what you do. These decisions do matter.
Yeah.
And unless it's changed, the idea that Jesse had originally said for a character, I don't know if she's stuck with that, would require it to be, we are not the first group to go.
Flexible.
I'm down with that.
All right. So not the first group. Okay, so we have 2 people from 2027. Abdul's character would be from 1999. Right? If I get this right. And
Yeah.
Rev. You have 3 timeline options.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. Let me explain the character that I'm stuck on the idea of, and you can tell me which time period I would be from. I think that, like, I think I'm a dog that is wearing a device. Like, so some scientist in the future was trying to build a way to send his consciousness like back in time in a way that would like preserve his body, but he didn't get to like human testing. So the best he can do is like on a dog. So it's like a dog is wearing this really wild collar, and it thinks he is this engineer, this scientist or whatever. So like it could be that the dog is from the future, or it could be that the dog is from now and it's just had the collar placed on it.
Oh God, but what if something bad happens to this dog?
Listen,
So-
yeah,
I see where you're going.
I didn't even think
You're
about
probably
that.
you're probably one that ticked off no harm to pets.
I
And now you say,
did, and I didn't
"Guess
even
what?
think about that.
Guess what? I'm a pet.
Yeah.
So I can't. I'm good with
I
that as
didn't
long
think
as
about that. But I mean, the worst thing that could happen to me is I just become an alien dog, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So that's okay.
All right, yeah.
There's like a TV show where a guy swaps buddies with a dog, right? And then the dog is a cop or something. Is that a thing? Do people remember this, or am I remembering a weird thing from the
There is
Middle
a
East?
guy who would like would he transform into a dog? The Shaggy
There's a-
DA.
Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf.
100 good deeds for Eddie McDowd.
There's a Tim Allen movie where he turns into a dog as well.
Yeah.
There's lots of
I
movies. I
love
mean, this
all
is
of
a
these.
common theme.
Yeah, the Shaggy DA is the one I'm thinking of. That was from like the late 70s,
My
where it was a
God.
dog It was a dog detective.
Superb.
You're a Shaggy
I-
engineer.
Yeah, I don't know if he's an engineer or what he is, but that's the
the Shaggy Terminator.
yeah.
I was getting this image of this dog that's just like smoking a cigar, and it's like, I've seen some shit.
Because I love the idea of like having to find ways to communicate to you all without being able to necessarily talk in front of the people from this time period.
I'll tell you what. How about this? How about you were part of the experiment for the first jump,
Oh.
Yeah.
right? And so I think that that's what they worked on doing, and they probably tried to do a projection of consciousness, because that's what the Ascellans are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so they didn't think it worked. I don't think you even have a call. I think they just projected the consciousness, and you never communicated back, because you cannot project inorganic matter in the past. It's only like they do the classic in the book. They do the classic Terminator. You just show up naked. I'm trying to skip the whole initial scene of shopping for clothes. And
this dog walks into a bar and shakes on some
essentially
bikers.
the idea of like, oh, thank God you guys tried again, because I've just been
Yeah.
stuck here as a dog, and it's real.
Or
Yeah, they ended up
Are you-
basing the littlest hobo on your life.
and as we figure out the relationship, it could very well be that you found Abdul's character,
Yeah.
and you found someone in, say, to get the attention. He was like, "Oh, this dog is really smart," and then finally he's like, "Holy shit, this dog is really smart."
Or it could even be the element that like I was projected into Abdul's character's dog, and then I was
That
kind of the
works
one who
great.
recruited him.
That works
That's awesome.
great.
There we go.
Superb. This dog
Huh,
knows
all right.
arithmetic.
So we're gonna have two characters from 2027, Abdul's character from 1999, and Rev, who's a dog from 1999 with a consciousness from 2027.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the first in all my Fate of Cthulhu games. So well done. So now that we know this, I have one final question before we deep dive into the character creation. Is how do you time travel? I've got two options for you. I think with Rev's character, that kind of that may very well answer a question, because the options is either you have an individual device which has its pros and cons, or you have like one device a la sliders, where it's one portal that you open up and you all jump through. And why this matters is that you gain corruption when you time travel, but if you're trying to pull some wonky feats of wonders on me and do some unprogrammed time travel, every time you're programming this device, you're incurring corruption just by programming it, right? So if you have four devices and you're making the jump, as long as you're just jumping once, we're good. If you start trying to do things fancy, well, the dog doesn't have a time device right now, so a time travel device. So it could be a challenge.
Interesting.
I didn't even think about the possibility of like trying to time travel within. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a high corruption event, so it's not recommended. But sometimes desperate times, desperate measures. And we, Abdul,
Okay.
sorry, I was going to say, Abdul, there's a comment in the chat saying that they're going to kill your dog.
God.
If I do, you get to become John Wick then.
Sorry, Jesse.
Dude, my character's already got way past that.
Yeah.
No,
Sorry,
you're totally fine. I was just going to make the point of, I kind of like the idea of it being an implant, because that seems less like easily stolen or broken or dropped or like something would have to like, or if we get separated.
I
That's
like it.
my selling point.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm down for that.
And
Okay.
is it like that when we jumped back to 1969, just each of you was hugging one of us so we could go with?
Oh,
I did
maybe,
think of
yeah.
it. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
I can
like it.
only I can
I
only
like
time
physical
travel if
contact.
I'm hugging my dog.
I have thoughts on that too. I think I'm narrowing down what I want this person to be. So there's a chance that when we came back, I might have how you guys traveled back one more jump in. Yeah, I think I mean, possibly. We'll see. We'll get there.
Awesome. No, I think that's good. So we're gonna go with implants, and whatever you're hugging that's organic can travel back with you.
I love it.
All right. Wear cotton, people. No, don't wear spandex. Okay. All right. So that brings us to then the actual characters. We've already got a rough idea. But what I recommend, we're going to go around the table. I'm going to ask you to just don't worry about the fate mechanics about how you create characters. If you can just each describe your character briefly. And after we get a sense of who everybody is roughly in your head, then we're going to get into the aspects. And I'm going to ask you to think for your aspects after that, as far as your high concept, a sentence that describe your general character, a trouble. So that's a negative aspect that can be either relationship based or kind of a flaw based. And your trouble needs to be something that a complication that you would love to have come up in the story. Okay, if you don't want this to be invoked, then don't select that as a trouble. So if you say for example, curiosity killed the cat, that tells me that you want to get in trouble by being a bit too snoopy and curious and wandering off from the right. If you don't like any of these compels, then probably don't go in that direction. And then you're gonna pick relationship. It's a relationship with another character, and what we're trying to do here, each of you, you should have mutual relationship. For example, Abdul and Rev, it should be, man's best friend for Rev, from Rev to Abdul, and Abdul saying, "I'll die for my dog," or some. We want to try kind of rotate it around all the characters, so there's multiple dependencies between all the characters.
Sure.
And then we'll get into the other stuff. So for now, why don't we go around and describe all the characters? We'll start with Abdul with his 39 pages. Say you said.
So my my character, his name is Jesus Jean Chrétien Sinclair II. So he's basically a Canadian John McClane. He's like an action hero to the max. He's wearing a Canadian tuxedo all the time. So like denim jacket with the arms ripped off, a denim shirt underneath, a denim pants with the legs cut off. So shorts. Denim socks, denim shoes. He is. Let's see what I have here. I have a bunch of notes. So he's got a tragic backstory. He lost his fiancee on the day that he was going to propose to her. So it was. I have my notes here are. I have a power that I can summon Canada geese. So good luck working that into the system, Pascal. Sully Sullenberger is my enemy. The guy who did the Hudson River thing. Oh, and then the next note is I did the thing on the Hudson River. So the backstory of this character is that he was like a Canadian secret special forces agent, and he was about to propose to his wife, and then Sully Sullenberger, and he was in a hot air balloon above the Great Lakes, and then Sully Sullenberger flew an airplane into his hot air balloon, and then he lost he lost his wife, and American Airlines covered it up. So his mortal enemy is Sully Sullenberger and American Airlines. And then he fell into the Canadian wilderness, and he was nursed back to health by a group of geese, Canada geese. That's why he has a connection with Canada geese. And he's now vowed to take revenge on Sully Sullenberger, who he suspects now might be an alien because his dog told him so.
Yep.
His dog was originally given to him as an emotional support animal by CSIS. So he has to hug the dog for emotional support and then also to travel through time. He's got 4 pockets on his denim vest. He's got Molson Canadian Molson Canadians on one side and then cigarettes on the other. He's always got cigarettes and Molson in his hand. He's got his forklift ticket. So he can drive a forklift is one of his special skills, and then he can fix a skidoo as well, which is a snowmobile, and it's a Canadian word for snowmobile. And then I think that's all I can keep going. There's a lot more.
You know, my deepest fears have manifested when Rev said Abdul was going to be in a horror game. I was like, where will Abdul take us?
I was
You did not
expecting
disappoint.
I was expecting to cry in a Cthulhu game, but not for this. Not this
Not like
way.
this.
Not
Not
like
like these.
this. Oh, that's so good. My chest hurts.
This is me in character.
God, he's so cool.
Oh, he's so cool. Oh my god.
I fully expect a denim jacket for the next session, though. I know we're not gonna cosplay, but
Just each session, there's just another layer of denim that's added until he just looks like best Genist.
Wow.
That sounds amazing. All right, so this is disturbingly clear in my mind.
Follow that, us.
Yeah. So Jesse, what's the future like in 2027? Oh. Jesse, can you hear us?
Uh-oh. Jesse? Uh-oh. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no,
Sorry,
connections.
I can't do this.
You
She
broke
got-
her.
so-
She's gonna-
Yeah, my character is too insane. You rightly left.
Jesse's gonna reappear with a denim jacket and a goose in her arms.
That would be so sick.
Rev, I know you'll get to your whole overall
Yeah.
thing, but an important question in here is what kind of dog?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and I was curious to see what everyone else is going with, like, not necessarily skills wise, but like, are they going into brains or brawn, or because that was going to kind of determine, is like, oh, do I want to pick like a dog that is really fighty, or do I just want to lean into the brain inside the dog?
That's totally fair.
Yeah. So it could go a couple different directions.
Yeah, that's
There we
fair.
go. So Jesse, do we want to talk 2027 and what the future looks like?
Oh no, we
cannot
can't
hear
hear you again. We're having a little sound trouble, and we don't know why.
Well, we know it worked last time. It was just
Yeah.
checking the input.
Yeah, turning it off, turning it back on again. When they travel back again, someone needs to become a Canadian goose. This is, obviously without violence involved. For those that don't know, I kind of was the Abdul Rev team up for like a year and a half of my life, for real, working with the geese police in Indianapolis with
I forgot about that.
my dog Flojo And it was one of the best jobs I've ever had. And I would write every week. I would write a big post. I think I just did them on like Facebook back then about the. It was like a gritty noir cop, buddy cop thing about how we dealt with the goose gangs of Indianapolis. And I never said that FloJo was a dog. I just threw out things like, it was weird that she's seen so much shit, but every once in a while she'll just eat a piece of hot dog off the ground, and I'm just like, I don't know about her.
I'm gonna test. Can you hear me
Test,
now?
yay,
Yes.
we gotcha.
Yay.
Okay, so sorry. I don't know if I've got like a short in my headphones or what, but
Oh, that's
everything
okay.
is everything
All
on the
good.
back end looks normal. So, but
Yeah.
hey, okay, let's talk future.
Yeah.
Okay, so my character creation is not nearly that fleshed out. I
Same.
don't have an outfit or anything. But I do kind of like the idea of since we are not the first team to have done this. I like the idea of being a behavioral therapist for the team members who have come back
Yes.
and studying them and seeing, how the Ascellan consciousness and the corruption has been affecting them. And I think to your point earlier about kind of curiosity killing the cat, I think it gets to the point where my character wants to experience it for herself to find out the true, is it really as bad as they're saying it is type of thing.
Excellent. I love it.
That's so good.
And that gives me a great concept of where we're going to go. So we're going to think about that. Are you like all science lab, in therapy couch piece, or do you have some field agent training before going out there? Because I should stress, in Fate, you don't all have to be action heroes, right? It's perfectly cool to have some people. Think of Call of Cthulhu. You can be pure investigator, pure scientist. There's place to shine everywhere. And it's actually cool when you end up in a situation where you got to do something that your character is not super well trained in, and see, hey, let's see how it goes, and embrace the failures, as I was saying before. So that's just cool.
Yeah.
Let's go back to 1999 in the world of dogs.
Yeah, so I mean, I really think I've said all there is to say. I am an engineer from the future who had been working on this device to send the consciousness back, like into my thought was like, oh, I'm going to send it back into one of my, grandparents or whatever. And so I went back with the first group. It did not work out that way. I got put into a dog. And it took quite a while to learn how to properly use the larynx and stuff to communicate. But I have retained all of my engineering knowledge. But I think that my trouble is going to be
no thumbs.
Opposable thumbs. Yeah, and I don't know what kind of dog I am yet. I think that will work itself out as we continue on.
Awesome. You and Abdul deserve each other.
And
All right.
I will die before I let this dog die.
I think all of us are in.
Already taken too much for
Okay.
me.
But a
Oh
serious
my
note for everyone at the table. I know we said no harm to pets, but are we okay if Rev's dog is in danger, given that he's a PC?
I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
We're okay
I'm
with
okay
that?
with that. But
Yeah.
Jesus Sinclair is not.
It's not.
Right, exactly.
Understood. I'm playing with fire if I go after the dog.
Yeah.
All
Well, and
right.
I think too the distinction that I know this sounds silly, but if I get hit with a laser blast, it's going to be me going, "Oh, God damn it!" It's not a dog whimpering or something.
Yeah, yeah. The game slowly
Awesome.
mutates into Pugmire. That's funny.
Oh, that's funny. All right. And Tass.
Okay, so I have a clarifying question. So the people that did get taken over, they put this thing out. There was this energy. People, their consciousnesses got downloaded by the Ascellans, etc. How much of them? How do I ask this? is there any evidence of / have we seen them changing physically too? Like, is that like, are we seeing this alien sort of race like manifesting physically after all of this has changed?
So I would say what you've seen until the full reveal in June of 2027, they were invisible among you,
Okay.
right? So uh, they had special abilities, but they were really trying to blend into society as they were inserting themselves into every office of power, into
Yeah.
the military, and so on. But like the image you're seeing on the screen, this is underneath the skin. What I would say for the folks from the future, what you've seen is the most senior leaders, the what we call the Ascellan Vanguard, that have been there since 1932. They have revealed themselves,
Cool.
right?
So
And their blue skin and everything. But among the population,
awesome.
you never know if your neighbor, your spouse, your kids, your parents, apparently your dog, you don't know if they're Ascellans or not. And this is sense of paranoia. So as the resistance tried to organize themselves, cells got taken out because there was an alien among them,
Sure.
and they're fast, they're deadly, and they have powers, they have abilities,
Yeah.
and they each have manifested different things. So you do know that they're extremely fast, and they're a bit of they're not a full hive, but you do know that they seem to share information and know things across vast distances. So they have some sort of telepathic abilities or hive consciousness, even though they very much have individual personas, but they're connected together. So you do know these things.
Okay. I think then, yeah, I think this works. That I think I was like a surgeon essentially, but like I worked for I don't know yet, some government or other, and I worked in, I don't know, some of like the black sites and stuff where, when scuffles had broken out and humans had won, I was the one doing the autopsies and stuff. So I'm kind of like an expert on the alien physiology. I'm kind of the the butcher that has expertise on, how do they have these abilities? Well, it's this gland under this or that under behind that organ, and so I think when it came up that like Jesse's character needs to go back too, that we're sending more like academic in this chunk, that they kind of asked me like, we've got somebody that understands the behavioral side, now we need somebody that understands the physical side, so you can pool your expertise there when you go and deal with these things.
Excellent. And so it really sounds like the two of you are there to uncover the aliens that have infiltrated. So
Yeah.
you're not necessarily big muscle, but you're there to expose them, maybe reveal them. Does that make sense? I
Yeah.
think as when you start, um, but then we'll find out whether you might be crack shooters too. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So hey, so we have a pretty good sense, I think, of the your four characters. So uh, I'll give you a minute to think about this, but and I'm going to come back to you and say, in one sentence, how would you describe your character as your high concept? Okay, and you can tell us your name and your pronouns as well for your character. Um, and part of that to think about for aspects, except for your trouble, a good aspect is double edge. Don't worry too much about the exact wording. We can tweak that over the next week. But what I mean by double edge is a good aspect is something that you can invoke. And when you invoke an aspect, it's either to get a +2 to your roll after you've rolled the dice. It can be to declare how you use that aspect to justify re-rolling all your dice if you didn't like the result. or it could also be to declare a new story aspect. And you pay a fate point, you invoke the aspect, and you carry on. And the dual-sided aspect of it is also, how could I use this aspect based on how it's worded to compel you? And when I compel, there's no dice rolling. I will offer you a fate point, but in return, I'm going to introduce a complication to the story. So having something like, and I can already see for each one of you things that can be compelled and invoked based on that. But think a little bit about all your aspects, the way you invoke it. So, for example, if we look at Abdul's character, he said, "I'll never let my dog die." Well, that can justify how he can just jump into the action and he will fight with everything he's got. But it could also be to say, hey, someone step on your dog's tail and it was maybe you overreact and you cause a scene, and that would be a compel I could throw in, for example, as a quick example.
Nice.
Okay.
And mayhem ensues.
Nice.
So who would like to go first about describing their high concept?
Sure. Oh God, the phrasing. I'm like going through my mental thesaurus here, but I mean, I really think I should just keep it simple with like the alien surgeon, or surgeon of aliens. I'm not an alien, but yeah,
Seems
alien,
suspicious.
alien dash surgeon.
All right. And if you would put a qualifier to that, the alien surgeon, would you say, like, do you see yourself kind of things like, are you single-minded? Single-minded or hyper-focused? Are you reckless?
Oh,
Are you
interesting.
right? Is there?
That's good. I like, what's a sort of a darker term for hyper focused,
Obsessive.
obsessive. Yes, that's exactly the obsessive
I
alien
love it.
surgeon.
Yeah.
Thank you
And
for
I'll
that.
give you an example. Yeah, and I'll give you an example of how I would compel something like that. It could be you're at a scene, you found an alien, you took them down, you got to go. There's more coming, but you need to figure out either who it was or what was inside. And you could be dragged behind. That would be an easy compel for something to offer about how we lean into that obsessive aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could be the need to reveal, if you convince someone is an alien, that you want to see their blood or something like that, where you can make some very awkward situation for you. So you can think about that.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Cool.
I love it. Are you interested in naming a trouble right away, or do you want to hand over the floor to someone else?
I'm gonna percolate on that
All right.
one.
Who wants to go next?
Go.
All right, Jesse.
Okay. So, do we need to tell our name now?
Oh, sure, if
Oh.
you have it. Yeah.
Okay. Taz, did you have a name?
Yes, I do. That I'll reveal
No.
soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, okay. Well, my character's name, pronouns are she, her. Her name is Dr. Carmen Cricket Loudon, so you can call me Cricket. I think
Amazing.
I think that my high concept, I put cosmic shrink. So I think that with the sentiment of like leading with empathy, I think that a lot of people may look at our test subjects as, less than human, or not necessarily treat them with the kindest hand or the gentlest respect. And so I would like to think that my character leads with love in that regard and tries to remember that these were once people, still are people in some degree. But I also think that the trouble for me is that I can get in too deep with that. Whether it be like in too deep on their behalf or in too deep in the curiosity aspect of it.
Oh, so many opportunities here. So, cosmic shrink, for your trouble. You said you're leading with love. You could totally go with something like "Love is blind." Like, like I could see you going, "Oh, they were a person," and then you're so fascinated with the alien. Alien are people too, and you could start maybe sympathizing with the invaders a bit too much. There's many
Yeah.
ways this can go depending where you want to see something. But think about it. Think about what you would like your trouble to be phrased at. But I think there's a curiosity aspect and a love aspect or the love piece could be wrapped up in your high aspect as well.
Cool.
Yeah, excellent. Love it. All right, Abdul or Rev, who wants to go next?
I can go.
All right. I'm scared.
Here we go. All right. Jesus Sinclair is the high concept first. Should I just say that I'm the wild card?
That's a
Or
pretty
or is
good
that
high
the
concept. That's
Oh,
good
wild
for
goose.
both.
I'm the wild goose. Yeah, my high concept is sound of a can of Molson Canadian opening, and then I'm what they might call a wild goose, and then stage directions that say flips mullet.
His eye concept is a video clip. It cannot be captured in 2 words.
Yeah, it's really high concept.
Oh,
And
man.
I think like my trouble is that I'll do like I'm reckless. I'll do anything to get my man, who is
My
I
alien.
guess an alien. I think it's just that literally, if I see Sully Sullenberger, I'm gonna kill him. If I see an American Airlines plane, boy, that I'm gonna cause a scene. I think I'm gonna be trying to kill Sully Sullenberger this entire.
How about code name Wild Goose as your high concept?
I like that. Yeah,
It
That's
tells
so
us because we know you're the CSIS agent. You're after a specific person. But now you're going to be traveling back in time, so that may be a wrinkle in your plan.
Traveling back in
And
time to kill an 18-year-old Sully Sullenberger.
he gets there. He's like, I don't know if I feel good about this. This kid's really good. I don't think I can do this, guys.
So we've already established.
I try and get him to not be a pilot.
Yeah, it's just you. Don't fly. What?
So we've established your trouble, but what's your character's trouble?
Is it? Could it be that he's reckless? Can that be it?
Oh, totally, yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah, totally. Reckless. That's
solid.
I'm also open to like anyone else. If anyone else has ideas, I'm also totally.
I mean, that fits so great. That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And now, just as a placeholder, as you think about this, if you haven't named your trouble yet, we'll come back to you. But also, as you hear these characters, think about how you fit in together and your relationship. And again, that relationship is going to be double-edged, right? There's benefits to that relationship, but think about what could go wrong. How could I get drawn in too deep in that relationship, into overcommitting, suspecting, and so on. So, Rev, have we thought about a dog name?
Yeah, my dog, my name is Benson. It was actually very fortunate because the dog was also named Benson, and so it was not confusing. It was just, it was like fate. My high concept is tech savvy canine, and I think my trouble has to be hypoplastic thumb. Just the fact that I don't have thumbs. Or I could also do my trouble is like whatever the quick sentence would be of canine instincts.
Oh,
um, yeah, let's go that way. I don't want to
I like
lean into
that.
the fact that I can't like build the stuff that I know how to do. So let's do
basic instinct.
basic instinct. Yeah.
Oh,
Also, it could be that you love chocolate. Miss it so much.
Basic instinct. Okay.
all right. Hey, there we go. So we've got our obsessive alien surgeon. We have our cosmic shrink. We have our code name Wild Goose, and we have our tech savvy canine. What could go wrong? Let's talk about your relationships. So, obviously, Abdul Rev, there's going to be one as a relationship toward the other, one of the two. And
Yeah,
Rev, Benson may have relationship with the agents from the future, right? Because you left them. They don't know you're alive, but you could have a relationship with them. So,
Yeah.
Abdul?
I think it's the kind of thing where, like in a lot of ways, Jesus is a very simple man. So he like he thinks of like Benson as his dog, even though he knows he's an engineer. So he like loves his dog. He's the kind of guy who loves his dog so much. So I think that is like I love Benson. That's the nature of our relationship. I love Benson so much. And also sometimes he does my taxes for me, and that's sick. And I think I
All right.
did notice I think there's one thing where there might be a little bit of like friction between if Jesse, only if you're okay with this, but between myself and Cricket, because I'm so over the top about like just I'm kind of a dumb guy, and like he's just like the aliens killed my fiance. I hate the aliens.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent. All right. Who wants to go next for their relationship toward another character?
And so we don't. I'm misremembering all of a sudden. We don't create one each direction. We just name one.
That's right. You
Okay.
just name one towards someone else, and so they can be daisy chained so that everybody is connected to someone.
Yeah.
And what we will likely do is we're gonna start the adventure right in 1999 before you jump.
Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So Tass, Jesse, or Rev, do you have an idea of who your character would be connected with? Remembering that for Tass and Jesse, your character may know Benson, maybe mourning Benson, may have been inspired by Benson, right? And it would be a bit of the surprise reunion when you show up in 1999.
For sure. I mean, I definitely feel like it being in the medical field in that regard, I should know one of you, at least. But I guess it depends on how long Benson has been gone and how long I've been in the program.
Hmm.
I do like the idea of not knowing you yet, though, because I feel like you'd be a fascinating study. So maybe I'll go with already knowing Tass. We can be co-workers, but not in the same department. But I'll see
Yeah.
you in the break room.
Yeah.
I'll see you in the break room, and I judge you accordingly.
Yeah. Is it that sort of thing where we like we want so desperately to have somebody else to compare notes with about our findings, but we aren't, like, I don't know anything about what you do. You don't really know a lot about what I do. So it's that just like professional, professional gossip almost of Like,
I agree with that, but I also almost like the idea of like because I view them as more like a intellectual thing. I almost wonder if what I don't view you do as barbaric in some ways.
sure, that's interesting.
So I think that we could certainly have like professional discourse, but I also think that there could be some friction on those topics.
Interesting. So what is that? What is that as an aspect?
Yeah, like what is the sentence you can invoke?
Yeah. And is this? Yeah.
I mean, like an agree to disagree kind of vibe.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. That or even, I mean, that it's not exactly, and it doesn't necessarily have to be negative, but I like what you're saying about it. Just you thinking it's barbaric. So like that. I mean, agree to disagree works great. I'm trying to think of like what is something that for you is like he gives me the ick, or something like that. Like, yeah.
Wait, did she say she did or didn't see it as barbaric?
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Maybe almost like because didn't you say you're obsessive? Like
Yeah.
maybe your eagerness for it gives me the ick.
Sure.
Like while I view it like I view myself as more highbrow, like
Yeah.
I'm eager for knowledge, you're eager for carnage. Like
Yeah. Okay. I like that a lot.
Okay.
All right. So we're gonna put agree to disagree for now.
I like it.
With Task, what's your character's name? Have we come up with something?
I know the name I want, but I don't have that notebook with me. I'm so upset.
Okay.
So I'm trying desperately to search through my stuff. I know it's in a physical notebook. I want to do a little omniverse touch here, and use the name from Perilous Tides of one of the characters that is this brutal surgeon. And I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember what I named the man. But I'll find that. I will find that quickly. Yeah.
Perfect. All right.
I have two thoughts for a relationship, and I don't know which one I think is more fun. That maybe, either like I'm related to Benson, so like this is part of the stakes of why like go is like I sent back whatever, a brother, a dad, a uncle, a cousin, whatever that might be. But I also like the idea of like after whatever we have gotten up to in 1999 here, that I am like in awe or like jealous of Jesus Sinclair. Of like just that raw fucking, like animal willingness to just jump in and go for it.
Like Jesus's biggest fan or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I actually,
Yeah, I think maybe that's the one. Maybe that's the one.
When you met Jesus the first time, he had so many guns taped to his back. It was like a problem. It was like a hindrance.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, I'm gonna put Jesus biggest fan, which is a hell of a sentence.
Hashtag blessed.
My middle name is also like the name of a prime minister, Canadian prime minister.
Can I real quick invoke both you guys and the audience to help me out to look for any opportunity where I can be driving in a tense situation so that I can try to get out the line, Jesus, take the wheel. I need y'all to help me work this into the story at some point, please.
Online we have Dear Diary. Today I met the coolest guy ever.
Okay.
Excellent.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think so that we have one going every direction. I'll do mine with cricket, and I'm thinking like accidental support animal, like just the fact that I am one a dog in that comforting presence, but then I'm also someone that you can talk to intelligently about what you're dealing with. It's like the double
Love it.
support dog or something.
Amazing.
You're like Brain from Inspector Gadget. Like,
Yes.
I'll be Penny, and you be Brain.
Also, it's am I remembering right that like the technology that put you in a dog's head is the alien tech that they used to take over people?
Yes.
Yeah, like that.
Absolutely.
So there is
Basically
like,
tried to like reconfigure it and didn't go exactly right.
Yeah. All right. So I've got for Benson, I've got your high concept, your trouble, your relationship. For Jesus, we have the same. For Jesse, what is your trouble again that we're looking for? You had mentioned curiosity, love. Do you have something nailed down?
Yeah, and I don't know if this fits it or not, but I put sympathy for the devil.
Ooh,
Okay, cool.
that's awesome.
Cool.
I love it. It's we can do a lot with that. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. And for task, we've got obsessive alien surgeon, Jesus biggest fan, and your trouble.
I'm thinking something like spiteful. Like yeah, spiteful, like vengeful's the wrong word. I think that's too like vengeful is almost it's still not exactly positive obviously, but it that's almost more altruistic where I think yeah, I think this guy's just kind of spiteful. Like he'll cut a little deeper when he needs to.
Okay, and then that tells me again between the spiteful and the obsessive, you'll go. So that tells me you'll go out of your way.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
right? Whether it can be whether it's a calling card, whether it's to show that you're better than them, whether like, there's something there, right? I can see
Interesting.
there's right. So think about the and you can do self compels if you want trouble to come your way. If you want complications, you can take. You know what would be cool? I'd love if, and then that brings in the story. To get a fate point from a compel, it needs to make your character's life harder. So we can think about it. But we'll write down spiteful for now. That gives me a good sense of what you want to do. All right. Uh, so if we do that little review then, and we see what everybody has, um, we have two more aspects we're gonna have to define. Now, for tasks, Jesse and Rev, you're all from 2027. So you're going to have one corrupted aspect and one free corrupted stunt that's going to come with that. And if we if you go to either the PDF that I sent you, or if you go on Roll20 in the scenario overview and rules overview, and what I'll do is I will flash it up for everyone on Roll20. And you should be able to see on Roll20 if you want to look there, or the PDF that I put you in the chat earlier on. That lists you some corrupted aspects, and we don't have to pick this now. You can take the week to think about it, but just if you have questions, you can think about essentially: is it your DNA that started to mutate? Is an Ascellan consciousness starting to blend in with yours? Have you gained access to impossible knowledge from that consciousness that's building within you? Is the consciousness really starting to battle for control of your mind with the enemy within? You're not limited to those, but these are meant to kind of stimulate your imagination with regards to what sort of direction do you want to go into with that corrupted aspect. How have you been corrupted by the growing presence of an Ascellan within your body? And then there's some simple stunts underneath these aspects, but again, you're not limited to those. Think of, like, we'll go with Jesus. So Jesus apparently can invoke geese and can call forward a flight of geese. So even though we're going to start in 1999, Abdul, you can totally say you're starting with a corrupted aspect because you've had this dog from the future, and you probably had, as a CSIS agent, it sounds like an alien killed your fiance, so you've had contact with the enemy already. So you could have a corrupted aspect, and gaining that power. Something like foul language, FOWL. And you could totally have a way of
Oh.
calling for the geese or something. So I can see, and then you can describe what the stun does. Or foul attraction.
That's so good. That's so good.
So you can and you can define how that would work, and that kind of reflects, if you think about it, the Ascellan telepathic abilities. But because you've got this dog you've been interacting with, and now you're kind of starting to connect with the animal kingdom and developing your own little hive mind, but with animals,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that makes sense. And I was like nursed back to health by a kludge of geese, whatever the collective noun for geese is.
A murder of geese? Is that?
It's an assailant of geese. And they taught me the ancient martial arts of the geese. Deep in the lake country. But yeah, I love that. Foul attraction. That's so good. That's so good,
All right.
Pascal. That's so
There we
good.
go. There we
Yeah.
go. And I think the aspect I would recommend then is um, I'm trying to think about the your aspect. I would recommend something like damage hive mind, and it reflects that the Ascellan within you started to erupt, and rather than connecting with the main hive, you started connecting with animals, kind of thing, right? So it's kind of you still can have trouble with this, and I could still compel you. You could have blips connection with the alien hive mind, but now that kind of explain how come you've attuned with your dog and you've attuned with these geese, and you've got that gives you some leeways into the cool aspects and stunts that you're gonna do, while still it's exposing you to the hive mind overall at the same time. So this could be really bad for the group, but it gives you that duality that we're looking for.
Yeah.
You can rename that.
Yeah, I like that. Can we call that despite all my rage, I'm still just a rat in a cage? Does that work? Because I can connect with animals. So wait, is it like that? Because is it like foul attraction is the corruption, and this is the aspect?
Foul attraction, I think, would be your stunt, because this is where you can call forth the corrupted stunt. And despite all my rage, I'm still a rat in a cage. I feel like singing now. See.
Okay, that's
All
great.
right.
Thank you.
There we
That's so
go.
good. Yeah.
There we go. So we're far ahead than I expected with this.
I think I know mine, because this is actually what triggered this whole a dog, and is I want to do that my corruption is the spliced DNA, using that technology, accidentally sent some of that DNA. And so I want to go with ultrasonic screech. That this dog can just let out a
Perfect.
bark that.
Oh, I love it.
And then I thought the corrupted aspect might be like unusual breed or something like that.
So
And whenever you do that, Jesus is just like, it's okay, he's friendly.
yeah, so let's call that. So yeah, so let's call the corrupt aspect unusual breed
Okay.
like this, and then let's call it ultrasonic bark. Like
Yeah.
it's that reminds us of the dog nature, and then we can take either the way it's written there, or if you want something slightly different, you can
Yeah.
retweak that stunt
Okay.
to give it more more aligned with your dog if there's something you think of, and I can help you that the corrupted stunt. I can help you all reshape those stunts as well.
Okay.
All right. Cass and Jesse, do you have an idea for corrupted stunts yet, or do you want to push that to during the week to think about?
Good idea. If you want me to go ahead, Tess.
Yeah, please, please.
Cool. I was looking through these, and I like kind of the idea of the awakened aspect, like as someone who is in emotional contact with multiple people, um, being high, like in empathy. I am kind of flip flopping between empath or psychometry. Um, because I feel like both are kind of very like feelings based, very empathy. So I'm open to discussing that more because I'm not quite sure how to choose.
Oh, this is
Yeah. Empath seems very directly related to that, like behavioral intake, but like I think psychometry is really neat too because that shows almost more of a like I don't know, that almost seems more corrupted that you've gone past the empathy and and you can do more than just
just
so,
using it straight
man.
from like my will versus somebody else's
Yeah.
goodness.
And,
Yeah.
yeah. And what I love about psychometry is that you could use that to justify how did you zero in on Jesus and Benson.
Oh.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
like maybe like as the remnants of what you found from the past, and as you're doing research and you've got this thing, and you're getting like this strange vibe, and temporal anomalies from this collar. Like it could be a dog collar, it could be anything else, and that's kind of like I know where we need to go. And the resistance like no, you need to go to you need to go to Scotland. You're like no, I need to go wherever their town is.
Yeah. Perfect.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about psychometry too is that it's like the things from the past are what's like touching physical items from the time period you're not from is a corrupting factor.
Cool.
Which is
Works for me.
Yeah, there we go. Excellent. Okay, and Tass, do you have an idea yet, or you want to wait for like?
I think so. I want to talk through it a little because can we dip from the same kind of?
Absolutely, yeah, you can, and again, you may have a completely different sort of twisted aspect you think of in new stunts. This is to start your brain flowing.
Rev, which one? What were you looking at again from the spliced?
I did ultrasonic screech.
That's right. Oof. I don't know. This is a little bit of a stretch, but this whole thing is a stretch. There's aliens. There's time travel. I almost like the idea that since I've been elbow deep in alien guts for so long, that some of that kind of that residue and stuff when I traveled and etc. I think I can shift my appearance.
Oh yes.
Yeah. There's also, I don't know if this would sway you at all, but further down there is one where you can impersonate the aliens.
Oh.
Inside of the enemy within, the very final one, walk like an Ascellan.
Oh, where am I missing that?
It's just the next page down.
Yeah.
Page 16 at the bottom.
Oh, I'm just in the
If you're in the roll 20, it should be at the bottom. If you just keep scrolling.
Oh, I see.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if you want it to be that it's them that you've absorbed or their ability to.
Walk like an Ascellan.
Yeah. I'm gonna that I'll percolate on one or two of the
Yeah.
one of those two for sure though.
I will tell you that what is very freaky, because you've described yourself as kind of a butcher. So I've got something in my mind of like horrific graft or something like that you've grafted.
Oh, okay.
You've graft, like before the time job. You've done a graft to try to figure out how their mimic abilities work on one of the clones.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
And
I'm
yeah,
in.
yeah.
That's
So,
rad.
yeah. And so the aspect could be just like alien skin graft or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's
right.
great.
And then you could take the doppelganger stunt.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Just the thought of that being the spot where the transformation starts from.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is.
Oh, this is
I
great.
hope you're all taking notes, because my notes are starting to look like a mad diagram.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I think we've got a really good concept with your aspects right now. So you start with the total of 5 aspects. You currently have a free aspect left that is still undefined. And so this should be a truth about your character. You can define it now. You can define it during the week if you think about it, or you can also define it during play. As we discover things about your character, you might decide to declare it in play to say, okay, hey, you know what? Here's my last aspect. Because we're going to be traveling in the past, you might also get some corruption, and you may have to corrupt an aspect, and you may decide this, if you have not named that aspect yet, that could be the corruption that emerges there. So there's some flexibility there, but I'm going to recommend take some time to think about it, because now we're going to shift to skills. And as you define your skills, that may also help you flesh out your character. Say, oh, right, I can really see how this person is emerging. So you have 2 things you're going to be thinking about: skills and stunts. In Fate of Cthulhu, you start with 2 free stunts, and these are regular stunts. I can repost in the chat for you a link where there's tons of different stunt examples. But the basic way to think about it is that it's a cool ability that your character has. And we start with uh, a, uh, a special thing you can do, but not superhuman. That's your corrupted stunts. But for example, it could be parkour, right? It could be an eye for details, could be hyper focus, that when you're doing surgery, you gain a +2 to your senses or to your medical skill or something like that. They the way a stunt is phrased is because of X, an aspect of who you are, or in certain condition, you either kind of gain a +2 to a skill, you get to create an extra free invoke on an aspect when you create an advantage, or maybe you can justify using one skill instead of another. So, for example, we have a CSIS agent. He could say, uh, you can use when you're stealthing, right? When you're trying to sneak upon someone, you can use stealth instead of fight to knife someone. And so that would reflect if you've decided to create a very stealthy character that's really good at shooting, really good at stealthing, but not so good at fighting. That's a good, like, fighting hand to end. This would be a good stunt to have. So as you think about these, there's various ways you can reshape stunts. Again, there's a whole bank of examples for regular stunts. I can help you define what cool ability you're trying to do. You can pick from a list. But that's just so you know, there's ways to either boost your top abilities to be even more of a killer, or even a better scientist, or sometimes is to amp up your lower skills to be special in specific circumstances. Okay, so keep that in your back of your mind. For now, we're gonna go, and I'm gonna ask you to define your top 3 skills. You get 1 skill at +4, and you get 2 skills at +3. So if you look at the list of skills, either in the handout on your own character sheets on Roll20, you will see the entire list of skills. You are able to do any of those skills with a 0 modifier when you roll your 4 fate dice. So that means that's going to give you a +4 to -4 result on your dice, and that's going to be a raw result. But if you have picked an apex skills, for example, athletics of +4, you roll your 4 fate dice and you will add +4 to the roll. Okay, does that make sense to everyone? So think about it a little bit, and then I'll come back to you. What we want to avoid, as I've mentioned offline, is we would want to avoid 4 characters that all have +4 in fight or +4 in investigate. We want you to be able to share the spotlight and all have your moments. There's no speak with geese in skills, unfortunately.
I was looking for it so hard.
I know. I'm sorry. Let me know if there's any skills that don't make sense to you. We have also a description of the skills. I'm going to pop up on Roll20 for you. You can scroll through that. They're all defined there.
I think I know what mine are.
Please.
Yes.
It's gonna be the top one is gonna be shoot, just because he's like an action guy, an action movie guy. Oh, but he's a Canadian CSIS agent, so he doesn't have a gun. So not that one. He just has a box.
You
He has a
totally
box
have a gun.
double.
As a
Oh, I
as
do?
a CSIS agent, you can totally be a crack shooter.
Okay. I think it'd be so funny though if we established that CSIS agents are only issued pads of paper and pencils. They're like, yeah, we don't do the gun.
Maybe provoke. Maybe provoke is your top skill.
Yeah, where I push people in the way that you want them. It's it's coarse and manipulative, not a positive interaction. Yeah. So could it be like I like I get in a fight with people, like that kind of provoke?
Yeah, so it can be where you're getting under people's skins. It can be where you intimidate them. It can be right. So it's you can cow them into submission. You can bully your way. For example, you can bully your way with your badge into a place you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the
Okay.
kind of so to be more of a when we have conflicts in Fate, it doesn't have to be all physical damage. You could have a social conflict. Like you could run an entire Fate game in a courtroom, right, and see how you demolish your opponent's argument until they yield and they're taken out socially or mentally, and they're defeated, and then you win the day without a without a blow having been exchanged physically.
Okay. So then the top one's gonna be provoke, and then it'll be burglary and physique. Because I think he like he's sort of just like a Canadian uncle, like sort of a dirtbag uncle, where he just like is really good at stealing shit. He's really good at siphoning gas out of cars or gas out of snowmobiles. Or gas out of generators. And so it's like that's the burglary aspect of it. And then he's very physically tough, kind of again like John McClane, where it's like he could take a beating, but he's not necessarily really good at anything. He's just really good at taking a lot of physical damage.
Nice.
And then I think the top one is provoke, where he just really pisses a lot of people off.
Excellent.
Mhm.
All right. Who wants to go next?
I have a question.
Yeah.
If I were to say I'm going to perform a surgery, would that be like several different kinds of roles depending on what was happening? Would that be, is there like a
So
that
yeah,
you know what I mean?
So usually we would go with an academics role for something like this.
Oh, yeah.
Academics. So academics would include that medicine, and really, if someone is injured and we're doing a recovery role for a physical injury, uh, first aid or medicine is performed using the academics role to assist someone in recovering. Whereas if someone has a mental injury, a consequence that they've incurred, that they're traumatized in some way, then an empathy role is what would be required
Nice.
to help that person recover.
Okay. Then with that in mind, I think I'm leaning. I was already leaning towards academics being higher up anyway. So I think I'm gonna put that as my +4, and then I feel like, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I almost feel like that in the moment of like doing detailed work like that, that like notice is more important than like investigation. That, like, if I'm doing the thing, I have the knowledge. Obviously, academics takes care of like the surgery or whatever, but like that idea of that kind of detailed perception seems more active. Does that make sense?
Yeah, notice is very much exactly those. You're relying on all your senses and noticing those little details, whereas investigate. And so this is, you can argue it both ways, right? And so you could spot with notice something or someone else would miss, whereas if you're trying to figure out, how exactly do clones manage to shift their bones to transform into someone smaller?
Yeah.
That would be either investigate or potentially in this case lore, because it's
Yeah.
about the aliens. So if you want to be very specialized about the Ascellans, their abilities and how they work, that would be lore. If you want to be figuring out how things work in details, that would be investigate. If you want to spot the details on the moment, that would be notice. So they each serve their purpose depending what you're trying to do.
Okay, then yeah, I think academics is my +4, and then I think I'm gonna do lore and notice as my threes.
Excellent. Perfect. I can see we're gonna have a crack team that's gonna be doing frontal assault in every challenge.
Cool.
All right, Jesse or Rev, who wants to go next?
I can go.
Okay.
I did some look. I'm flip-flopping between whether or not I should put my top 4 being in empathy or in rapport.
Mm.
Mm.
All right, so great question. So empathy is really about sensing, empathizing, obviously, reading intentions and mood. So the basic empathy is a mundane ability. As you mutate and all that, that could turn into paranormal abilities of telepathy and sensing and so on. Whereas rapport is the other social skill. It's truly about building connections and influencing people, right? So empathy, sensing, rapport, influencing in a positive manner. Deceive is, again, lying to people or misleading them. And provoke is that intimidation piece, that bullying piece, that yelling at people's face and arguing and making them cowering. So these are the four social skills and the various ways they work.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you. Then I think I will go with empathy then. Um,
All right.
because not that I'm not out to make friends and influence people, but um, hmm.
Mm,
And then I know you kind of talked over lore a little bit, so I feel like I will put 3 in that.
yeah.
And is it one more 3 that I get?
One more tree. Yeah.
One more 3, perfect. Hmm. See, originally I had a 3 in rapport, but the more now that I kind of understand that better, I'm like, am I truly that much of a social butterfly? Who knows?
What about, since she's dealt with like people's fallout from all of this. What about will? Like just that mental fortitude against what their corruption and their stuff like that. Just a thought.
Yeah, no, I do. I like that. Yeah, I like
And that reminds me, part of what may shape your aspect with the mechanics of fate. We're going to talk about stress. Okay, you have two separate things on your character sheets. You will note you have physical stress and mental stress. That's not damage. That just reflects when you're in a conflict, you start getting worn out, right? Emotionally, mentally, and physically, you get bumped and bruises. You get tired. You get winded. As you do the John McClane thing, and you're running, barefoot across glass, but it doesn't stop you. You're just bleeding a little bit. But that's stress. And at the next scene, that wears off. You clear your stress drop. So sometimes people get excited a little bit and says, "Oh my God, I'm maxed out on my stress." That's okay. Next scene is going to be clear. Once you've maxed out your stress, that's when you start taking consequences. Consequences refer either a minor consequence is minor damage. It's going to take a scene to recover after you've initiated a recovery roll, bandage those feet, things like that. A moderate consequence will last essentially an entire session, and a severe consequence will last the entire mission. Okay, so you start worrying a little bit more when you get consequences. Why does that matter now? It matters because if you have a will of +1 or +2, you get an extra stress box. So you go from 3 stress boxes to 4 in mental. If you've got a will of +3 or +4, you have a total of 6 stress boxes for mental. So by having a will of +3, that's really good for you. For physical stress, it's physique. So right now, Abdul's character, Jesus, would have 6 stress boxes for physique. And it's all about what do you want to play. So I've had some people that didn't care and they went with 3 stress boxes in each, and I was like, yeah, that's not important to me. I'm not that strong mentally and physically. I want to be stronger in other areas. Other people that's really matters to them. They want to be a tank. They want to be able to soak up the damage when they get in a conflict. And with corruption, very often it will be a mental attack of some form. So you very often resist with will. So I think a good will help you in that piece. But when the aliens start tearing into you, having a good physique is also very useful. So it's things to know. Okay. So okay, awesome. Rev.
Yeah. So I think that my crafts is going to be a 3. I think it was a 4, but because of my circumstances, it is not my top one anymore. I think my top one is going to be athletics. Like just being in this fast, agile body. And then I think my other 3 will be investigate. Again, just utilizing the senses and my know-how from before. Yeah.
What is it, boy? What is it, boy?
Over there.
Awesome. Hey, so that already gives us a pretty good idea. It's a good spread, but as I was saying, that tells me that your first reaction to go after problems, it may not be that frontal assault. You'll take other ways to approach problems. And now what you're going to have left to do, and you can fill them out now, you can think about it, we can talk about stunts. You're going to get 3 abilities at +2, at 3 skills at +2, and you're going to get 4 skills at +1. So that kind of shapes a pyramid if you want, right? So you can see one top skill, 2 high skills that are good, and then and so on down to 4 skills at +1. And so these ones, it really doesn't matter if you have the same ones. We've got a good spread here. You can tell what makes sense for your character. Did you learn to shoot a gun? Did you learn to brawl and fight? So what I would recommend is take a look at these first to see if there's any skills you're not clear what they mean. And feel free to ask. And the other part you can think about is if there's any sort of stunts that your special abilities that you would love your character to have.
I was thinking about a stunt. My favorite ones are always like when you're doing this, replace it with that.
Same.
I was wondering if it could be a basically a stunt that was when you're attacking, using your teeth and paws, that I could use athletics to fight. Like, I'm not sure what that terminology would be, but basically something that lets me use my physical quickness and agility as my fight.
I was wondering about a similar, just to let this percolate. I was almost thinking about something like, I wasn't sure if it was going to be like my other aspect, or if like the stunt works better, but I was thinking something like if using a blade or a scalpel, that I can fight with academics because I know where to cut. Feel free to say no. I'm just curious if that's the type of thing.
I think we have to shape it in specific circumstances.
Sure.
Okay? So I'm trying to think. How about this? Call the stunt, go for the jugular.
Ooh.
And I would say when in close quarters, use academics instead of fight to cut your adversary with your scalpel or something like that, right? With a sharp
Okay.
blade.
I like that.
Something like this. I kind of give us boundaries so that you're not always academic on everything.
Right. Yeah.
And
Totally.
and if it gets really overpowerful, then I can do something about that, because my character can go for your knife, right, to disarm you,
Exactly.
because it really relies on you having this scalpel or knife and being in close quarter, or they can back away and turn this into a gunfight. So there's ways that
Sure.
your opposition can work around that ability.
And I can,
Um,
I almost even like what I had in mind that I obviously didn't say, was almost like, I almost feel like it would have to be a surprise. Like it would have to be like only on the first swing in a fight, or something
let's
like
do
that.
that.
Okay.
I love that. Go for the jugular on your first attack against an opponent.
Right.
And they don't expect you. You don't look like a fighter. And when you pull that scalpel out, I like this.
Cool.
So that way,
Cool.
it gives you a strong bonus for that first shot. They dismiss you as, they turn their eye probably toward Jesus, the big bulky CSIS agent, and next thing you know, the doctor is taking a slice at them. So that's good.
Cool.
And Rev.
Yeah, I'm trying to look through the list of already existing ones to see.
And I have something to offer to you, ultrasonic bark. I really think you should consider my bark is stronger than my bite.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. same stunt. Just
Oh, for the I see.
For the
Yep.
corrupted stunt.
For the name of it, I see. Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just cosmetics.
Yep.
And you were saying about your athletics instead of fight. I'm trying to think about.
Yeah, there's one in here actually that might be. I don't know how much we'll be using zones. I don't quite always understand the zone. But there's the spring attack is one of the examples in that document. Once per scene, you may move one zone on foot, attack with fight, and then move one additional zone, provided there are no situation aspects restricting movement. I know what
Yeah.
half of those words mean.
So what the advantage of this is, what I can see is it would allow you to leap in, attack, and leap away, which kind of makes sense as a dog to nip in
Yeah,
right back, and it gets you away from close quarter fights because you're a dog,
yeah.
and that might be. And I'm looking here for some ideas. There's one that so that would be one place where you could use that, the spring attack. One place that I'm thinking about as well is part of what you can do. And if you think about animals that assist in combat, it may not be that you attack directly, but you may be creating an advantage by something like I'll run circles around you, something like that. And as they're trying to hit you, what you're doing is you're drawing their attention and creating an advantage for the opponent. So it says, pick the name of the stunt, but something like I'll run circles around you when in a fight, attract the attention of the adversary, to create an opportunity for your partner, or your partners. And what this could do, we can massage this, but basically you may create, you would create an additional invoke, on that thing. So if you succeed and you create 2 free invokes, and then one of the other characters goes in for that hit, if you give them those 2 free invoke, that gives them a +4 in their attack all of a sudden. And really, in conflict with fate, if you just go tit for tat and you just say, okay, I attack, they attack, I attack, it becomes very counterproductive. So you want to do the setup of how are you setting up that coup de grace, right? And I think characters build up for someone else to take that blow can make a huge difference. And I think punching through defenses and having a big success.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's create an advantage
during a fight.
And
Create an additional free on a success, gain an additional free invoke.
Okay.
So if you succeed with style, instead of creating 2 free invokes, you would create 3.
Okay.
So this can get very, very, very powerful in a fight, especially when you're going to be fighting tough opponents, and it kind of speaks to the fact that not only are you agile, but you're really, really smart for a dog, and you're doing stuff that's throwing them off. So,
yeah. And I don't think I'll come back later. I don't think I'll do the spring attack because you're right. I have the ultrasonic bark, so I don't know why I would also try to throw myself in there.
And you have time to define those stunts. It just gives us a bit of a sense of where you see your character shaping up. Is there anybody that wants to talk about stunts right now?
I think I haven't been able to read the whole list, but I think I have a couple that work.
And you can modify those. These again give you a sense of different stunts for different skills, to again get the brain juice flowing.
Okay, cool. I was thinking of taking land on your feet, which is basically like if I fall from somewhere, I don't get hurt as bad. I was gonna. There's another one that's the bastard will not escape, which I take a +2 if I'm chasing someone. And I call that one is that Sully Sullenberger over there? The name of that one.
Phenomenal.
Oh, fantastic.
Real one-dimensional character I'm building.
Yeah. You've got geese. Go ahead, Tess.
No, forgive me. Just so what? How as far as the stunts we're starting with, or how many we're starting with?
So
Since
two regular stunts.
Yeah.
Two regular stunts. The corrupted stunts are always bonus. They're
Oh,
extra.
got
So
it.
for each corrupted aspect you have, you get a free corrupted stunt.
Got it. Okay, so
Right.
I'll have
And-
technically at the start here. I'll have 2 regular, and then I'll have. Or does that include the corrupted one from coming back?
2 regular plus the corrupted stunt.
Perfect. Thank
So
you.
three total.
Awesome.
Okay. And you all start at what's called 3 refresh. So you will start each session with 3 fate point. But if you want, if you're someone that really likes having a bunch of cool abilities, you could pay a refresh, start at 2 fate point instead, and have a 3rd regular stunt. I like having my fate points. I like influencing the story, so I recommend for you to stay at 3 refresh. But if you like having lots of cool abilities, feel free to do so. It just reduces the number of fate points you start with.
Nice.
Jesse, did you have anything in mind for your character at this stage? You want to take the week to look at this?
I do have some stuff in mind. But unfortunately, I have like too many things. I keep looking, and I'm like, oh, that would be good. Oh, wait, that would be good. Oh no, wait, maybe I should do that one. So, so I
That's
don't
a
want
good
to. I don't
prompt
want
to
to
have.
make everybody. Yeah, I was like, I don't want to make everybody listen to me waffle. But I definitely have some that I'm looking at that I'm like, that could be good. That could be good. It's just getting them narrowed down is hard.
Yeah, you can. Well, you can toss a few ideas. This is what I love with Fate as we brainstorm characters and they shape. Uh, you can toss some of what you have in mind and decide during the week. That's perfectly fine.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm definitely taking a peek at the empathy stunts, because seems right. Seems like where I should be. I like the idea of like the lie detection or like getting a vibe on the room. So I wrote like I highlighted cold read. I also like highlighted lie whisper. Just an idea of just kind of having a pulse on the social situation is I think might be helpful.
These are all good. Yeah, it's really gonna depend which way you want to run your character. I like cold read.
My original 2 that I had written down was cold read and psychologist, which is down in the other, which
Yeah.
was essentially kind of like if you it kind of reminded me of like being a
Oh.
healer in the sense of like, where you like in Baldur's Gate when you can like give a heal to somebody else. Like that's kind of what it reminded me of, is like if you help them, for like, it helps remove that. But then I was like, okay, that's fun, but also so is lie whisperer. So like I guess it just depends on if we need more of a what do you boys need? Do you need more of a healing presence, or do you need or do you need some more thought process here?
I feel like we don't have a healer at all.
Yeah.
So I kind of like if we have Taz that's got a high academics for his character that will be able to help heal, initiate recovery at least, right? Because it don't heal like this, but you'll be able to at least initiate recovery for physical injuries. But to be able to have someone, you have high empathy, so you can help with the recovery role, but being able to reduce someone else's consequence by a level, to knock it down, that is significant, and that means you need a bit of a respite to be able to do this. But that can make a huge difference, especially since we're running one single mission, to knock things down a bit, to extend the staying power of a character that maybe gets too close to the aliens.
Okay. Okay, excellent. Then I'll stick
Yep.
with my original intention there and keep that on the list.
There we go. I mean, should you encounter aliens?
Sure.
Should.
Yeah. What's the
Who
chances?
who said aliens in 1969? I mean,
Hmm.
okay,
Sounds good.
okay. And Tass, what did you have in mind?
So I've got all my skills lined out for stunts. I have go for the jugular, and I haven't decided which of the two. One of
Yeah.
those two. I'm probably think about it over the week for which of the
Okay.
transformy ones. I'm kind of stuck too on my other regular stunt on like 9 different things right now.
Yes.
Because I've got one kind of physical, so I'm looking at some of the others to maybe up. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure how much deceit we have on deck between us. So I'm kind of looking at something for that to like if we need to talk circles around folk and get moving. So that might be where I lean, but I'm not sure which yet. Oh, and I found the name. My character is Dr. Monteau.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Vermonto. Excellent. Okay, well, I think are we pretty comfortable where our characters are at? I think we've got a pretty good sense of
Yeah.
who everybody is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Excellent. So I will let you flush out your characters, those last +2, +1 skills. What I encourage you to do in Roll20, you have access to your character. You can rename your character with your name and just put your name in brackets, your actual name in brackets, so we see who you are. And you can all see each other's character in Roll20. So if you're trying to take a peek, you can see as other characters shape. If you run into an issue, let me know, and that way we'll be able to see who's who, and I will take care of the table mat. And that's going to provide you all a quick at a glance look at who everybody is, because as you discuss strategies and you can look at invoking and compelling situation aspects or character aspects, that can be very useful for us to see where everybody's at. But I'm excited.
Me too.
This is gonna be a very exciting team. So next session, what we're gonna do, we're gonna start right when you arrive in 1999. Next premise, things are gonna be bad, and we're gonna have to make some decisions right off the bat as you encounter Jesus and Benson.
Sick.
All right. That's all I've you for you today. Thank you so much. I will give you some time to think about your characters, and we'll launch into the game. If you have any questions during the week, ping me. For everybody on the chat, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for the suggestions, some great ideas, and some suggestions for stunts and invokes as we look along. I am excited to take you to the past and let's see what things are like in 1969. Will Benson go to the moon? Will Jesus find his nemesis? And will Canadian geese invade Cape Canaveral? Who knows? We'll find out. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. That's all for me. Rev, anything on your side?
Yeah. So gosh, yeah, join us next week. If you tuned in, you only saw part of this and you want to see the whole character creation process, you can go over to our YouTube page. This will be posted within the next day or so, as will all of the episodes of this as it goes on. They'll be their own playlist, so you can get over there and see them easily. And you can also see the previous Tales from the Omniverse, as well as a slew of other things on our YouTube page. I believe that Thursday they will be back with Mystery Detectives, and then Monday we will be right back here with episode 1.
Woo.
I'm excited.
Excellent.
All right. So, yeah, thanks for joining us, and everybody have a good night.
Good night.